In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, good evening, and welcome to our Paris-Roubaix Hell of the North preview. I am David Hunter. I am delighted to be joined by Jay Thomson. Jay, how's it going?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Good to be back on the show.
Now, last year, let's get straight to it. One of my favourite stories of the year, cycling stories. So Van Avermaet is winning. Explain to everybody where you were at that point.
Very far back. Very far back.
Well, was it Monzon-Pevele or something like that? Was it around there?
Most probably.
And
then, 27 minutes to get to the finish.
And then you are obviously thinking to yourself, I better get a move on here if I want to make the time cut. And you were last man home before the...
Yeah, so I came over the Carrefour de l'Arc, and they've got a nice big screen there, big crowd watching on the big screen, and Jay was creeping along at 20k an hour over Carrefour de l'Arc, and I was watching Van Avermaet sprint to victory and thinking to myself, still got 18k to go, this is going to be close.
And you made it by 16 seconds, I think.
Yeah, that's correct.
And there was a number, I think it was 19 riders possibly who were Oars delay.
Yeah, there was a group of 19, but they were about 4 or 5 minutes behind me.
How,
I probably would have waited for them, so maybe it's
how long did you go by yourself? Because I noticed you were, the guy in front of you was quite a few minutes in front.
I was a long time alone. Before Orenburg already, I was alone. When did Turkshire snap his Tube? Sector 20, I think it was. So I was alone from there.
It's a long way to go. What's the motivation like?
Yeah, motivation. I don't know. There's something about this race. I really love it. I've done it 3 times and I've come last every single time. But you know what? Matthew Heyman gives me the motivation to keep on plugging away at it. And one day something will click, and look at him. He won. I think he came last. When did I read it? Last year before the race I read it. He came last a couple of years in a row, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in the right break, the right move, you're in the front, and you're racing for the victory. So you never know. It can change. The race is a lot of luck. I've had not the best of luck on that. No, okay, maybe also not being in the right position. That's where it's not always luck about it. Obviously you need luck in these races, but sometimes it's not about luck. It's also having the legs to put you in the right place, to have the luck to miss the crash, to pick the right line. And maybe in previous years I haven't really been in the best of positions because of not saying that I wasn't strong enough, but maybe just not more confident in being in the right place at the right moment, and being able to be when the race starts to split apart already when you start hitting the first cobbles. The race is a race of attrition, and it's a bunch sprint every time for the cobble sectors, and if you're sitting in 80th place, you're just sprinting full gas just to stay on the wheel in front of you, to stay on wheel 79. Then you hit the cobbles, the front guys are riding fast, so obviously you're braking, you're trying to pick lines, you're going wrong lines, you're in a mess. So when you get off the cobbles, you're not even in the group. You start to get back to the group, so you're wasting so much energy, and by the time you're getting back into a good position again, they start sprinting for the next set of cobbles, so then you're just out of position, and you just never recover, and eventually, as anybody, you can't fight anymore, or somebody in front of you can't fight anymore, and lets the gap go and you can't close it. This race is all about position, and if you don't play position on the cobbles, you count yourself out of the race. Last
year was a fairly kind of crazy / special edition where we didn't get a break. It was full gas, and I think you maybe tried to get in a few, and then eventually it went, but after 60, 70, 80k or something.
I think last year the 3 guys left 87 or something, 87k, so it was under 2 hours of racing that we had been racing for, and 3 guys went, and I think we caught them after the second or third section of cobbles already, so it was, yeah. And we also had a few crashes and punches and that kind of stuff, so I helped out Scott Dwight get back a few times after he had a bit of bad luck last year. And then I had my own bad luck when I got stuck behind guys crashing, and then they all stopped, and I kind of ended up being by myself all day.
Now, you said that you tried to get in the break a few times. People who watch the sport, who maybe don't understand it as much, they look at it and think, well, come on, it's easy to get in this break. You know, why have you missed it? In a race like this, just like, how much does it take out of you, just even trying to get in the break, say, 3-4 times?
Yeah, if you try 3-4 times and you're smart about it, you can save quite a lot. But if you're not so smart about it like me, you can waste a lot of energy, and you always fight for the wrong time, and you go follow the wrong move, and sometimes it just clicks. Sometimes I can tell you, I've watched guys take 50 times and been the guy that waited in the wings and then just followed one move and gone straight into the break. And then other times I've been the guy that followed 50 moves and then the 51st move just rides off the front, you know. So, and these races, it's almost a luck of the draw, you know. Everybody wants to be in front. There's maybe 25 guys that can actually think that they can race for a top 20. Then the rest of us are all trying to get in the front because we're thinking, okay, if we're in front, when our leader comes from behind, you can assist and you can be an extra rider in the front to help, you know. So it can be a little bit crazy on especially these big cobble classics, because numbers is an advantage.
I presume also the fact that they show the race live, the full race, which is kind of fairly unusual. You'll have every DS wanting people in the break.
Yeah, a lot of teams do want it, but then there's also obviously like guys like Quickstep, and they're just not allowed to go in the break. If you've got a race favourite and you're a team that's going to do a lot of work during the day, you can't go in the break. So if they start trying to put somebody in the break, then it just becomes like a crazy day. Then it's just one of those like last year. The guys from Lotto Soudal and Lotto Jumbo trying to go in the break, Quickstep not wanting it, so then they just shut everything down, and then it just becomes like a tit for tat, you know. One Quickstep guy want to go in the group of 10, and then you got Trek deciding, oh yeah, we put one in the break too, you know, with the previous winner of John Degenkolb, and then that's just, so then you start laughing, then you start thinking to yourself, okay, we're just going to do this all day.
Because I think that's what happened in Flanders as well, wasn't it? I think it was Keiser who seemed to just chase down every break. And again, I don't think the break went until about 70 km in Flanders.
Yeah, it took off 70 km in Flanders, which is weird, because last year it took 700 meters. So, yeah, that's the thing. You 1 year to the next on the exact same roads, the exact same start. Okay, maybe not the last year we had beautiful sunshine and 25 degrees at Flanders, and this year we had 5 degrees and rain. So, it makes a big difference.
Now, in terms of recon for this race, there's been a lot of pictures on social media of extremely muddy, kind of cobbled sections. Have you been out and done a recon yet?
Yeah, we actually headed out yesterday and did a bit of a recon, but I must say that the cobbles are in a state that would make the grown men flinch. Yeah. Yesterday was really slippery and really muddy. I saw a lot of pictures of a lot of teams with a lot of guys that misjudged how fast you can go on slippery cobbles.
Weather is supposed to be dry over the next, tomorrow and Sunday, is that right?
Yeah. Today we had a beautiful sunny day today. It's a bit chilly, but with the wind blowing like it has been, I think, you know, I can't see it being any different on Sunday from the predictions. So it should be a dry Roubaix, which is many people I know were hoping and praying, but for us riders, I think it's a bit safer, you know. It makes the race slower when it's wet, but a lot more dangerous.
Now, most people would be interested in thinking about quick step tactics. You know, they've nailed it almost every single race so far this season. They always seem to have more numbers in the front than everybody else. However, this race is not as easy, I would say. Certainly, it's not easy, but as easy as some of the other races to get multiple numbers in the front. Your own team, I presume it looks like Edvald Boasson-Hagen will be the team leader with everybody focused behind him.
Yeah, of course. You know, with having Eddie on the team, you can't not back him. You know, he's been on an upward rise, after his tough start to the season, and he's really looking in a good way for Sunday. So of course, we give him everything we've got, and hopefully can stand up more and not back myself, and be better for him to have a better and more chance in the race. When you isolated as a team leader for him so far out, it's also not fair. So for us riders, it's also disappointing if we can't back him and you can't give him the chance that he deserves. So of course, we put everything to help him and give him the best opportunity that he can give himself, to do something in the final.
The team weren't picking up many kind of big results recently, but Edvald turned it round in Flanders, getting fourth. How much of an impact on the team morale does a result like that have?
Yeah, there's a lot, especially, we've been through a bit of a rough patch. We lost, out of our 5 real core classics guys, we lost 3 to injuries before the classics even started. So, when you start the season of the classics with a vision of having these 7 guys and then a few guys as reserves, that, okay, if something really drastically goes wrong, you come and step in for, like, shoulder plates and dwarfs, so guys can get rest days and stuff. Now suddenly you've got, almost climbers in a sense that were coming to help us out and, pick up the pieces. So, when you see Edvald do it ride like he did in Dwarfsville, it lifts the morale of the team and gives everybody a little bit more, it gives you something, especially watching how he rode there. You become disappointed when you can't help him. Like after Flanders, you feel like you've let him down. So, not to be there, to not be further in the race to help him and let him be by himself for 60 k's to go, it's also not fair on him. We need to step up a little bit, if you want to be a better team and you want to take on like the quick steps and that, you have to have more guys in the final. And a guy like me that's been around, I should be able to do it better. Just, lying on the floor doing the classics campaign for me hasn't really worked. So it's like that I can, all the bad luck is out the way and I get everything that helps me, my planets aligned for Sunday, so I can go as deep as I can and give him everything I got.
Now, you touched on it there. You've been a little bit unlucky, I think it's fair to say, in most of the recent races. If there's been a crash, you've been in it, or you've been behind it, or you've been right in the middle of it. I mean, do you just get a feeling like what have I done? Who have I offended to earn so much bad luck?
I did when I was younger. I've been in, this isn't the first year something like that happened where I've been caught and everything. When I was younger, I used to always go like, why me? Why always me? But then you start getting older and you start thinking to yourself, okay, well, if it's always happening around you, it means that you're in the wrong place. But then sometimes when you ride in the front and the guys are falling in front of you, it's, like the crash I had in Dwarfsville, I was in the front line and the guy came past me and just literally like I wasn't there, straight over my front wheel. What can I do about that? There's nowhere you can go. There's nothing you can do. You go down. So, it comes to a little bit of bad luck. Some of the crashes, some of the things, the places I've been, when the crashes have happened, maybe just bad positioning. But then I look at Oliver Nielsen and I see how much he's had this season, That poor guy's been on the ground probably more than I have. But yet he still can get up and he fights back and then shows his confidence in himself, So maybe that's something that I lack, that I don't have that confidence myself to be to be able to say, okay, well, I've got a chain blade stuck in my rear end, but pull it out and get up and get going. Nothing's broken. Keep riding, keep pushing, keep fighting. Because that's what Belgian classic race is all about, is the minute you give up fighting, gone. Roubaix is the same. Guys punch a crash, and how many times have they come back to be in the podium or finish in the top 10 or even win the race?
Luck changed on Wednesday. You were one of the lucky few that missed the train, and you crossed the railroad before the tram came down. How did it feel on Wednesday? It looked a really cold, tough race.
It was really hard because it was super windy. In a way, in the centre, you could say it was luck, but yeah, I had good positioning before, and when I started splitting in the crosswinds, I was in prime position. I was in 20th place when the race went left side of the road on a small little one-car road, and yeah, then I had the legs to stay there, and the race was splitting to pieces. So yeah, and obviously I don't know if we went over the red light. I don't know if it was just the group behind us, but you know, there was a lot of controversy behind it, and people saying that maybe the front group went over when the red light was flashing already. I don't know. I haven't seen a video, but I just know I was hanging over the wheel 60k an hour and just thinking, I cannot get dropped today. I will not get dropped today. I will stay in this front group, because I knew it was split already, and I could see the groups getting distance quite fast, and I thought, this is it, race over. It's 140k to go, or 120k to go. The race is over, and I just have the last 40k's and we turn into a headwind. So, you know, that's all I thought about. And yeah, eventually once the race got stopped behind us, it became an easy race. But then rain, and yeah, somehow I seem to lose it all when it gets squeezed, when I get frozen. So I don't know. But it did feel good to at least have the confidence that I was in the right position, not get caught out in the crosswind, or not get caught behind a crash, or because I heard there were some nasty crashes at the back. So, you know, it was nice to have that confidence. So I needed a little bit of a boost before the big one on Sunday, and so, you know, I go in with my head held high, and I want to be able to walk onto the bus on Sunday and have my head held high that I've done a good job.
You've mentioned that in the past about cold weather and how sometimes your body kind of shuts down. It's probably something that most amateur cyclists don't really know about and don't really kind of know how it feels. You know, they'll just go out, whatever the conditions, but then they will kind of ease off a little bit in poorer conditions. What does it feel like when the body just shuts down on you and you're still keeping up in the front group?
You feel like you want to cry. Yeah, I've had it a few times this season already, because we haven't had the best of easiest of springs. But you know, I live in Germany, and the weather's always bad where I live. And this year I decided, okay, I won't do so much indoor training. I'll do more outside to try and prepare for it. But you know, when you're training, you just ride, as you say. Like when an amateur guy goes out riding his bike, he rides at a consistent speed. He doesn't change, it doesn't get faster, it doesn't get slower. You kind of maybe slows down when he gets more tired and fatigued. But with us, our races just get faster. And it's just how you can handle it, I suppose. That's what it all comes down to, is how you handle the cold. And obviously, I don't know, maybe I need to drill something out here inside my head to be able to not go so, you know, I was shivering when I came over the line, and no one else was. So that guys were saying, yeah, they were really cold, but I felt like I was more cold than anybody else, but I probably wasn't. But just mentally made myself think that I was that. So, you know, mind over matter. You know, but when you're in that moment, it just literally feels to me that my legs just completely switch off, that I can ride to a certain level, I can just push that many watts, and to go over that, I can't. Like my muscles just don't allow it. So it's quite an interesting thing for me to walk away from the spring and actually think about it, and actually see if it's a mental thing, then, you know, then that's a confidence thing. Then that's something that I need to work on inside of me to be better for next year if we have the same sort of conditions. But if it's a physical thing, there's nothing you can really do about it. If your muscles shut off, your muscles shut off. That's the way it goes, you know. And then I was just never meant to race in the blizzards and the cold weather.
You know, I mean, I remember listening to Tyre, a fellow South African, talk about how he hates riding in cold weather. I mean, it's probably too easy to say that the country where you're from is obviously much warmer, whereas the Belgians, who you're talking about in Chelles du Pré, they grow up with these weather conditions, so I presume that they can handle it much, much better. Looking back at Paris-Roubaix, we've got those 3 5-star sectors that we always have in the race that usually see a nice big selection. Where is the hardest point in the race, do you think? Can you pinpoint it?
It's quite a difficult one, because it also just depends on how the race is raced coming into the first sectors. You know, if it's a real fight to let the break go, and it's a real hard race of attrition. It's going to be fast. If it's going to be a tailwind, it's going to be a fast, and it's going to be a hard day. So I think it's just going to be every cobblestone section you lose 20 guys and only 10 come back, and then you lose 20 guys and 10 guys come back. It's, then normally after the Forest of Orenburg, I think that's where the big first showdown happens. You've still got 80 Ks or so to go from there. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, but that's where the first big show comes. That you walk out of there and you go, oh, that hurts. Then you've started the Hull of the North, and then from there on the race is on. It never slows down, and before then it hasn't slowed down. But just if you can make, I think from the front side of things, if you're in the front after Orenburg, you've got a chance to go really deep into the final. But before Orenburg is such a big fight through those 5 sectors that you come in before there, and then obviously the run into Orenburg. But whoever breaks first doesn't make it. It's the first onto that cobble sections that the guys that come out the easiest on the other side. And because if you're at the back, you're almost coming down to 30 k an hour when you start, with the front guys are hitting it at 65. So to even try and make up that, you have to get back up to speed and then try and accelerate to try and get back on. It's almost impossible to not have splits in Orenburg.
Now, looking at the results, I was quickly double checking who had done the double, Flanders-Roubaix double. Cancelara's done it twice, Bonen's done it twice. There's a lot of talk that Terpstra can do it twice. He's looking in sensational form just now. What do you think? Do you think he maybe starts as one of the big men to beat?
Yeah, after he's showing at Flanders, to ride 45k out in Flanders, you've got the good legs, eh? So, but yeah, as you saw last year, broken bike, and that was his race over. So, Roubaix also has a lot of luck to do with it, and the big boys also have bad luck. Yeah. I think Sagan will be as hungry as ever after Brunen telling him off the other day. So I think, and there's a lot of guys, it's the last of the Cobbles Classics. A lot of guys have got something to prove that they didn't come in under what they underperformed. You've got Van Avermaet that really has a point to prove. I've seen him in the press going off at his team. So BMC have a big task ahead of them on Sunday to actually be there in the final for him and support him. You've got Oliver Nielsen that had also been lying on the ground more than he's been on his bike in this Classics campaign. Super bike handler, he's got something to prove.
And then we've got guys like Stibar.
You've got guys like Stibar, Ike Lampard, you've got Philip Chaubert, you've got Edvald Bossenhagen, you've got... we can carry on going all night here with 30. We can get 30 guys that I can say could win Roubaix on Sunday. If everything aligns up for them and things go right and go their way, they'll be holding that stone and taking it home with them on Sunday night. You
mentioned Sagan. It's a race where he's not enjoyed great results, which from an outsider looking in, it's surprising because he is such a good bike handler, but you've mentioned it there, Roubaix is a lot about luck, and Sagan just hasn't quite got it right. The last season he was in the lead twice and suffered mechanicals. It's a race that can be so hard, I suppose, because of the luck element.
Yeah, I think that's what makes Roubaix so beautiful. It's the man and machine. It's not just the man that's making it, it's the man and his machine. If his machine fights against him, then you're not one together. That's what makes it so beautiful and makes it the reason why you want to race the Cobblestone Classics. Everybody wants to come to Roubaix. Everybody wants to get this opportunity to rattle yourself to pieces. I don't know why we love it, but we do. We ride there yesterday and your hands are sore, your elbows are sore, your forearms are sore, your wrists are sore, but you can't wait for Sunday.
Do you still get excited? I mean, this is your fourth Roubaix. Like, when you're there on Sunday, signing in and seeing the crowd, is it still a race where there's some nerves?
Yeah, I think if you don't get nerves for Flanders and Roubaix, then I think you shouldn't be racing here anymore, you know. So there's something inside you, just you get a little bit of like a little tickle in the stomach and little feeling that you, okay, this is it. This is what you trained winter all for, you know. So that's why when you walk away from there with the big guys and even us worker guys, the guys that aren't specialists in to stay in these cobblestone races, when you walk away from them and you haven't been able to do your ultimate best and help the team and move forward, you also walk away disappointed. And you know, that's why you always see so many massive amounts of guys trying to finish these races, because it's almost an honour to ride to Roubaix. Yeah, for me it is. It's like when you get onto that velodrome, you get goosebumps and you forget about the last 251 k's of bone jarring, and you forget how much pain you're going to be in tomorrow, and you almost like just get the sense of relief. Okay, you've got to the end of this thing, but then, you know, reality sits in where you're good enough. You know, why weren't you one sector further? Why weren't you 5 sectors further? Why did you crash there? Why did you puncture there? Why were you in that, you know, kind of thing? So every year you come back, you have a bit of a more determination to go further, to fight a little bit longer, to try and do something better, to be a better support rider for your guy that can do it.
The cycling geeks out there will love to know about what tyre pressure you'll be running on Sunday.
That's a secret.
Oh. Top secret, is it?
No, yeah, for me, round about 5 bar for myself. I'm a bit of a heavier guy, but some guys run it a bit lower. But the problem is you can't go too low, because the first 100 k's is on the task. You do have to push against the elements then. So you normally start with a bit of a higher pressure, because you always do lose tire pressure along the way. And then, yeah, and also if you run too low, the pressure hitting the cobbles, you're going to crack a rim, and cracking a rim means you have to stop, because you have to change your wheel. And if you're in the front group and you're hitting cap or the line, suddenly you break your front wheel, or you puncture your front wheel because you've got a pinch flat, you know. So you could run it probably a lot less if you're willing to take the risk. You know, I think you could run probably really down to 3.5 bar if you really wanted to. Don't know what that is in PSI. But yeah, that's where you play the risk. That's the big risk game. And do you risk a pinch flat, or do you have comfort? Because running a 3.5 bar is beautiful. Feels nice. It feels like you're just like dancing along like a little, like you're sitting on a balloon running over the cobbles, but the chances of puncturing are increased by 10 folds, or I could say 100 folds, because it's, you're so close to the rim every time.
I remember a story I heard once. It wasn't Roubaix, but Carlos Betancourt was riding, and it was a race with cobbles, and they had submitted their recommendation to the mechanic for the tyre pressure, and under Betancourt's name just had whatever you want.
Because the mechanics normally know what's best, because they've got some, you know, a lot of these tyre companies do a lot of tests in the winter and that kind of stuff on rolling resistance, that what tyre pressures are you actually going over the point, you know? Where are you losing the shape of the tyre? Where's the tyre at its best? You know, what's the lowest pressure that you could be to get the best out of a tyre? So, you know, a lot of tyre companies go through a lot of effort and a lot of things. So the science behind it nowadays is a lot easier than it was back then.
And the other thing that's... Sorry, on you go.
No.
I was going to say the other thing that some riders do is they contemplate a bike change in this race. You know, they'll run on a different bike, and then as we're going to start the serious cobbles, they sometimes change bikes. But last year's race might put them off that theory, that strategy, because it was such a crazy fast kind of run all the way through.
The year before was just the same. We were one long line. I remember 2016 like it was yesterday. We were in echelons for the first 100 k's. It was just race splitting, race coming back, race splitting, race coming back. So you're a brave man if you're going to try and change your bike. But the tailwind, you're a real brave man, because once you start getting onto the cobbles, you're going to get amongst the convoy, because if you're not on the convoy, on the cobbles before the convoy, it's a problem, because it's a car wide. If the roads are wet, if it's been raining like it has been, the chance of mud and all that, the roads aren't dry next to the car, so you can't really pass. And if you do pass, there's a chance of crashing because of the mud. So it'll take a brave man to want to change his bike before going onto the, but I could see the sense for it. You do save a lot.
But as you say, you've got to be brave.
The risk is high.
The
risk is really high.
Brave or stupid, I'm not quite sure. Going back to that story about last year, the determination to keep going, and as we said, you made it by 16 seconds in the end. How special is it coming into the velodrome? You were by yourself. Did you know you were going to make the time limit by that point?
I did a lot of calculations in my head. And coming into Roubaix, when I saw 5Ks to go, I was like, I think 27:50 is the time cut. That was what I had in my head. And I was just watching, and I'd obviously seen when the Navalmite went over the line, so obviously I could see it on my time, and I was like, I've got plus minus 6 or 7 minutes to do 5Ks, and I was like, well, this is going to be really close. This is not going to just be close, it's going to be really close. And then tired legs, I'm by myself. Yeah. But then when I came onto the velodrome, I was like, okay, I've got a minute to get around here at 600 meters. I was like, I better ride a little bit faster. And if I ride faster than 40k an hour, I do it. So you just look at your clock. And when I came over the line, I was like, I don't know. I think I might have made it, I might have not have. But I was, at that point, I was just kind of completely just thinking to myself, okay, I'm happy I got here, but, the day didn't go the way I wanted it, but I was happy to get into the velodrome. And then when I heard I made it by 16 seconds, I was like, oh, okay, that was luck. Luck was on my side today. But yeah, it was a long day.
Interesting, reading some of the comments of the riders who were outside the time limit, absolutely devastated to get cut after putting themselves through the pain of that race and then to be cut. They were devastated.
If you go look at 2015, I was one of those guys. I missed it by 1 minute 20, I think, that year. We were a group of 6 guys, and we also rode from Irenburg or something. It was a big crash. Was it 15, the big crash? Where Mitch Docker fell onto his face. I was involved in that, and we were a group of maybe 6 guys that rode from Irenburg to the finish. And we were also time cut. And we also missed it by a minute or two. I think it couldn't have been more. And we kind of knew we were 50 k's out, and we were like, no, I don't know if we're going to make it. It was slight headwind. And at the end of the day, we didn't make it. And then, I didn't really think much past it, because we have a rules. Rules are rules. And unfortunately, sometimes you don't understand them. Everybody that finishes Roubaix should get at least a time, and they say, okay, good job, and you got through the Hull of the North. But it's just for yourself to kind of finish. Yeah, you fight about it, you're not in the results, but does that really actually matter at the end of the day as a professional cyclist? It's not going to change between you getting a contract and not getting a contract if you outside the time limit or not, What's going to make you get a contract is if you were riding into Carrefour de la with your leader on your wheel, and then you exploded and you missed the time cut because you crawled the last 18 k's, then you're going to get, no matter what, you're going to get a new contract. So at the end of the day, for us professionals, it is shitty to miss the time cut when you've been slugging it out there for over 6 hours and you really wanted to finish, but you did finish. You just you're not officially in the results. And so for me, it's in a one-day race, if you just getting to that, if that was your goal, to get to the finish line and you've done your job and you've done everything, then you can have a bit of satisfaction to it. Obviously, even if you didn't do your job, and then, you can say, okay, well, what could I have done better? Should I have done something more? What could I have done more? Where could I have done more to actually have been to the finish? But at the end of the day, the hard truth is it's not going to change if you get a contract next year or not by finishing Roubaix. or being on the time sheet of Roubaix. You know, if you get HD, your team knows that you finished. They have to wait for 35 minutes for you.
I do say it's definitely my favourite story from last season. I think for cycling fans, it's that type of story that kind of gets you going as well. I mean, we see the winners, and obviously that's a great story. But ones like that, when you see guys like yourself battling to finish and to get it, you know, that's what for me makes cycling. And hopefully we'll be a wee bit further ahead this year.
Well, that's definitely my goal. I didn't train so hard this whole season to have the spring like I've had and no results, or it's not that I'm going for results for myself, but not being able to contribute more than I have this season. So, you know, for me, Sunday is something to salvage. I would love to salvage something from the spring campaign for myself, and obviously be able to give Edvald everything I got that he can finish on a high out of the classics. That, you know, unfortunately wasn't the best preparation for him, but I think as the seasons come on, he's really built in power, and he's good. I believe he's peaking for Sunday.
And a lot of people will be happy to hear that as well, I'm sure. I think you're right, he does seem to be gathering momentum at the right time. It's very hard to be 100% from the beginning of the season to this point in, so it'll be good to see Edvald up there fighting it out with the biggest. It's a race that suits him probably better than Flanders. It's flatter. He can use his raw power, which he seems to be incredibly powerful.
Yeah, he is. I think, you know, there's not many guys who have got his power.
Well, Jay, thank you very much for giving up your time tonight to come on the preview show. I'm sure we'll all be cheering you on Sunday and hoping that you can help Edvald get a top result. And I hope it goes well for you.
Thanks very much for having me again, David.